Good morning, students. How are you today? This is the second section of the English course. I'm going to show you some activities that you have to do in order to finish the term number one. Uh, Let me show you the presentations of this session. First, I'm going to talk about the activity number two, and then I'm going to talk about the virtual exercises that is important for finishing the term number one. Then I'm going to talk about the test, the evaluation that you have to take this term. And finally, if you have some questions, as I told you before, you can ask many questions through my institutional email or by the message from the virtual aula. So let me start with the activity number two. Okay, I'm going to close this presentation and I'm going to show you where the activity number two is. So in the virtual aula or aulas virtuales, you can find the first term, and down you find the unit number one. The activity number one is already done. It was the activity about your presentation. By the way, I want to congratulate some of the students because I saw that you have a great pronunciation and you have a good speech in your I'm sorry, a good fluency in your speech. So it's very nice. I mean, I saw many of your presentation and I like it. I liked a lot, and I know that this is your first presentation, but it was okay. It was okay, and I want to congratulate some students because they were very, very nice. Now, the second activity, or the activity number two. The activity number two is in the unit number two. In the unit number two, you are going to find the unit two, activity two, and if you click here, you are going to find the description of the activity. So, what is the description? You say, after having covered the content, grammatical structure, reading activities, and vocabulary, you are ready to work on the first activity on the term. But this is not the first activity, it's the second activity. I'm sorry, I made a mistake there. Make an infographic representation in pictochart.com or some members of your family. The task consists of making a family tree of the closest relatives, including their names and relationship among them. Export your work as an image and upload the file in the area proposed for the activity. Use possessive adjectives. This is very important. The possessive adjectives about, for example, his and her, and the possessive case. What is the possessive case? Okay, I'm going to explain the activity. For example, in here, I'm going to show you this example. This is one example of my family tree. I mean, I have some cartoon pictures, but if you want, you can put your real pictures, I mean, your real family, and you are going to do similar, an example similar to this. Okay, for example, I have my grandparents. I put their names, Luis, Paulina. I have my parents. These are my parents. This is me, and they are my siblings, brother and sister. This is Yolanda, my aunt, Daniel, my uncle, and this is my cousin. So this is a family tree. This is my example. So this is an example for you. So in your case, you can put the picture of your grandparents or your parents, the real pictures. If you have the real pictures, you can put the pictures of your family. And then you can explain me how the family tree is. For example, I'm going to show you, for example, if I say, Luis is my grandfather. So that's the first description. Luis is my grandfather. So this is Luis. This is Luis, is my grandfather. Then I say, his wife is Paulina, and I use the possessive adjective his because it's about Luis. So his wife is Paulina. So if I show you this picture, I can see that his wife is Paulina. I mean, the wife of Luis. And I say, his wife is Paulina. Another example, I can say, for example, my mother's name is Esperanza. This is the possessive case in order to say, my mother's name is Esperanza, for example, is the same way if I say the name of my mother is Esperanza, but this is more reduced. So it's a kind of contraction, but the idea is to use the possessive case in order to reduce the sentence. And I can say, my mother's name is Esperanza. And as you can see, this is my mother, Esperanza, and my mother's name is this. The other example, her husband is Jesus Maria. And I use her because it's the possessive for women. So this is the possessive for boys, for men, and this is the possessive for women. So, and in that case, I can say, her husband is Jesus Maria. Look at this. Her husband is Jesus Maria. I mean, I'm talking about the husband of my mother, Esperanza. Another example, they have 3 children, Patricia, John, and I. So as you can see in the description, they have 3 children, John, Patricia, and I. In this case, this is me. So that's another description. Another example, Yolanda is my mother's sister. So in this case, Yolanda is my mother's. This is the possessive case in order to reduce the sentence. Yolanda is my mother's sister. In other words, Yolanda is the sister of my mother. So it's another form to write with the possessive case. Yolanda is my mother's sister. She is my aunt. Look at the picture. In the picture, this is Yolanda, and Yolanda is my mother's sister. I mean, is the sister of my mother. But in another form, you can say Yolanda is my mother's sister. So, as Yolanda is my mother's sister, she is my aunt. Yes, and there are some examples that you can write, but it's not necessary to write just description because I'm going to evaluate your speaking. And the idea is that you use his, her, and the possessive case. Other examples, for example, I say, Daniel is Esperanza's brother. Yes, so is the brother of Esperanza. That's another example. Marcela is my cousin, and she is, for example, she is Yolanda's daughter. Yes, so is the daughter of Yolanda. I can say, for example, John is, for example, John is Luis's grandson. I mean, is the grandson of Luis. Yes. And I can use many examples in order to describe your family tree. That's the example for the activity number 2. The idea is that you use, as I told you before, possessive, his and her, possessive case, etc. So you have many examples in order to create your own family tree. Now, this is about the activity number 2. So in this case, you can create the activity as I told you in this link, activity number 2, and you can write, I mean, this is my platform, but you have the bottom in order to upload the image. Remember, if you want, you can use PictoChart in order to create your family tree or infographic. They are applications to create maps or to create family trees. Now, this is according to the activity number 2. Now, we're going to talk about the aulas virtuales, the virtual exercises. I have seen the exercises and few students have done some of these activities. So remember, these virtual exercises are very important because remember that in the unit number 1, you have these exercises. I'm sorry. Vocabulary, grammar, listening, and reading. Vocabulary, grammar, listening, and reading. Vocabulary, grammar, listening, and reading. These are the first part of the unit number 1. But remember, in the unit number 2, you have more exercises. Vocabulary, grammar, listen, reading. Vocabulary, grammar, listen, reading. Vocabulary, grammar, listen, and reading. So these exercises are very important for the term number 1. So when this term is over, when this term finishes, I'm going to evaluate the activity number 1, the activity number 2, the virtual exercises, I mean these exercises and these exercises, and I'm going to evaluate the test number 1. Okay, so I'm going to continue here in this presentation. Sorry, this is the session. Let me check. Okay, now the test. The first test is on March the 17th. This is Saturday, March the 17th. The test, this is the link in order to see the test. So the test number 1 is in this term, in the third term. I mean, the test is of the first term, but I put the test in this bottom. So in the third term, you can go down, 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 and at the end of the third term, you can see vocabulary test 1, grammar test 1, listening test 1, and reading test 1. So if you click here, you are going to respond the test about vocabulary. So look at this. This is in Spanish. Este cuestionario no estará disponible sino hasta el sábado 17 de marzo del 2018, a partir de las 12 de la medianoche y durante todo el día. Este cuestionario se cerrará el sábado 17 de marzo, ese mismo día, pero hasta la medianoche, 5 minutos antes. Okay, so the idea is that you open the test and you have to answer the questions before Saturday at 11:55. Yes, this is the military hour, so until 23:55. But this is the test about vocabulary. When you finish the test, the vocabulary test, you continue responding the test about grammar, and then the listening test, and finally the reading test. So this is the test number 1. Again, what is the test number 1? The test number 1 is at the end of the third term. Yes? So remember, on Saturday, March the 17th, you are going to click here in the third term, and you are going to go down, 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 and you can see vocabulary test 1, grammar test 1, listening test 1, and reading test 1. In this moment, and until March the 16th, you cannot see the test. Why? Because this test, as I told you, is available until Saturday 17 en Spanish. No lo van a poder ver sino hasta este día, que se va a abrir a las 12:01. Por esa razón, en este momento no lo van a poder observar, pero este día desde las 12:01 van a estar habilitadas para poder resolverlo. Okay? Now, okay, so this is the test that you have to take in order to finish the term number 1. Okay, now these are, if you have any question, don't hesitate to contact me. If you have any doubt about the activity, or if you have any doubt about the exercises, please write me a message, and I'm going to answer your questions as soon as possible. Okay, so thank you very much. Let's see in another session. It's nice to see you again, and bye-bye. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.